use a similar process to what I did yesterday. So yesterday wasn't too bad. I didn't really see too many major things that I needed to do differently. So I'm going to go ahead and try to do that same technique again. Let's see if I can remember the steps. So this is just a cotton canvas that has been toned with acrylic ahead of time, and I just added a little bit of odorless mineral spirits to the surface to get the canvas to be a little bit slick. And we're going to draw. I am going to draw directly with color. So I've already got a drawing color mixed up. So let's see if this approach works again. We'll find out. Now I may have added a little too much mineral spirits, but that's fine. Alright, ear is probably going to fit somewhere over there. Eyes are going to be, I don't know, somewhere around here. Gives us our generic shape right away. It's going to be kind of fun to paint the hair. So we're looking down at this model, or this model is looking down, should I say. Alright, so there's that shape there. Hey Mark L, Blue Sky, welcome. Hey, Owling Dog Design. Alright, so mistake with that is I put too much mineral spirits, which is kind of interesting because this morning I was working in watercolor. Watercolor is actually one of my favorite materials these days. This is not watercolor, of course, this is oil paint. So it's probably why I added too much of the solvent, but whatever. So let's let this drip. Not a problem. This is why I'm wearing the gloves, by the way, because I'm doing this approach where I subtract stuff. So let's create a little ghost image, and this will of course absorb the mineral spirits, which all is well because I didn't really like the placement of the head. It was too low. Let's try it again. So the top of the head over there. This is going to make for an interesting time lapse if I do this as a time lapse. Alright, so the eyes over there. Okay, that's a little bit better, I'd say. Of course, I'm going to spend a little bit more time with the drawing. So this is just black and burnt sienna with a little bit of cadmium red for my drawing. Alright, so this is about better. Starts off, I guess, looking like Iron Man. Gives me the shape of the forehead. Alrighty, something like this. Appreciate all the likes already, everybody. So I'm going to do the most that I can with this wipeout. And remember, these are portrait sketches. These are kind of like gestures in a way. So it's kind of nice. It gets you to loosen up a little bit. Now, like model's looking down, so we're gonna have a little bit more up here. I won't be able to subtract too much, I don't think, for the ear. So we're going to have to put that in additively. Okay, so as far as simplicity is concerned, this is okay. Maybe we'll have the cast shadow over here, but that's all right for that. that shape. Yeah, like I said, the hair is going to be kind of fun to paint. Alright, I'm going to put this brush down. I'm going to get another one, and I'm going to mix burnt sienna, white, and why don't we just try that first? And this is where I will go ahead and do some measuring now. Not in the, point, kind of pick a little angle like this and move around, but visually. I see that the eyes, of course, need to lower relative to the top of the head. So that's fine. That's why I made that shape a little bit too big. Now I want this to be as two-toned as it can be, so we can kind of follow along with how I painted yesterday. Can even suggest the hair already. And I've got enough room up here to move this relative to this point. Of course, this is going to move up slightly, I think. Hey, Blue Sky. Oh, I just used Gamsol, the mineral spirits. I used too much of it in the beginning. That's why I had to wipe that start out. Just Gamsol, that's odorless mineral spirits. I also use spike lavender oil while painting. So I use spike lavender to thin out the paint. It's kind of expensive, but it's safer for the air quality. So it looked like it was a lot of Gamsol, but it wasn't that much. It could have been, I could have used more than that. Yep, no problem. So to anyone that may be tuning in or wondering what's going on with these live streams, I'm trying to apply what I've learned. I took a break from YouTube, and I'm trying to apply what I've learned from studying doing old master copies, painting from life. So I didn't paint from pictures for a while, and doing self-portraits and pencil drawings. I'm still doing these studies to try to improve on my painting abilities, but this is more of an exercise for me. As the ear fits up here, this is more of an exercise for me to kind of figure out how to incorporate fine tuning, like a drawing, along with the quick portrait paintings. It's kind of an exploration, really. Alright, so I'm drawing with the color, but I'm very conscientious of these points. So what I learned, alright, so 2 days ago I was a little bit too cautious, and yesterday I was a little bit more bold with the start. I started kind of like this, which again is what I'm trying to replicate, is how I started yesterday. And today, again, same thing. I'm just trying to make the process a little bit easier. So right now it's just light and shadow. No form modeling. I'm giving this stage as much respect as I can so I can adjust the drawing as I go. So again, it's gonna start off looking kind of like Iron Man, and then it'll look more human. So this is just burnt sienna and white for this skin color. Really simple. Okie dokie. Alright. So now the wipeout drawing, the light and shadow part of it is done. That stage is done. Of course, I'm going to continue to correct wherever I can. Alright, one thing I can already see is this eyebrow is a little bit too high. And I can see that, again, this might have to move up. So I'll correct as I go. That's part of the process as I continue to move further in the painting. I will do whatever corrections I deem necessary. Move this up. And now I will start to get into planes once again with the idea that I'm gonna correct my light and shadow instead of dwelling on it. But even yes, I'm adding a little more burnt sienna to the mixture, by the way, and some raw sienna. So we're using earth colors right now. Yesterday I was a tad bit too. I think I was a little too timid with the corrections. A little bit too harsh on myself. So it shouldn't come as a surprise, really, when a correction needs to be made. It's more like, oh, okay, well, that's part of the process. That mindset change. This is just burnt sienna with raw sienna. Now, these are very convincing skin colors for not so much effort. This is the frontal eminence of the skull. I think this hairstyle is called cornrows. I've had cornrows once before when I was in middle school. That was kind of a trend back in like a long time ago. I gotta tell you, these braids, they kind of hurt. It like stretches your hair. So once again, burnt sienna, raw sienna. Alright, I adjusted that. Burnt sienna, raw sienna. Now mix a little bit with my drawing color. Hey, him ASF, you said, oh, you've had them before. Oh yeah, they are painful. My hair is kind of curly, so they didn't unravel that fast, but yeah, I do remember. Alright, now I'm building planes. For the forehead. I kind of like these colors. I didn't expect to be using just burnt sienna and burnt sienna white and raw sienna for this. Alright, now we're gonna get a different brush. I just get one of the cheap brushes out. Cheap brushes. Okay. And it kind of reminds me of that Caravaggio master study I did like, I don't know how many years ago. In terms of the, well, I guess all of it reminds me of it, except the hair was, I think the guy was bald in that Caravaggio. And while I have this brush, let's just do a little drawing thing. Do a little drawing drawing correction, which again, not really like a correction, but just part of the building process. That's the mindset I'm trying to have. Trying to be a little more lenient on myself. Okay, the nose goes to right about there. I'm very conscientious about the basic shapes. By the way, just titanium white today. You can see how bright the titanium white gets right away. Model reminds me, I gotta say it, man. The model kind of reminds me of Sean Paul. And I've got some Sean Paul music in my head and it doesn't go away. The lyric, I don't really care what people say. I don't understand what else he says. Let me know if you understand what Sean Paul says in his music. Yeah, you can see I could see it. Oh man, that was one of the first things I thought when I selected this image. I was actually gonna use this one yesterday, and then I was like, I really like the drapery in the other one. What does he say? I'm a lovely number two. Something, whatever that means. I threw in a little cerulean blue right there, just for the heck of it. Thanks, Christopher. All right. Let's model the nose now a little bit. I'm gonna again use a cheap. I call them cheap brush. So this is a cheap brush. And wing of the nose. You know what kind of helps me is watercolor studies. I've been doing the watercolor studies off camera. I'll post one or two of them on my Instagram eventually. Yeah, so starts like this have a certain energy to them that it's important to hang on to it. It's important to hang on to this energy because the further along you go in a painting, the less that energy remains. It's a natural progression into more seriousness. Of course, I enjoy doing figure painting like this. I might go to there's a figure group in Lorton. It's for me that's about 35 minutes away. They only do short poses, but it's kind of nice to have some short figure poses from life. Some volume for the cheekbone. And let's just use the, I don't know, something in the background for the ear, not the ear, but the back side of the neck, in between the neck and the ear. That goes up here. I don't know if that's an earring or something. I can't see over there. Yeah, these are loads of fun to do. Especially when we can just kind of just chill throughout the process. Hey, another person online. Welcome, welcome. Y'all, these are very improv, like very improv streams. I've done almost every kind of title I could imagine with with these videos. Now I'm at the point where it's portrait, sketch, and oil colors 3. What are we gonna do next time? Portrait, sketch, and oil colors 4, and then what are we gonna make it to, like 1,000? It could very well be, you know. When you try so much, you do so many different things, you get to a point where you really get to a point where it's not like anything new anymore. It's just roll with it. Just have fun with it. Hey Tour, welcome, welcome. I like this as a way of practicing for commissions and when I do paintings from life. Kind of like when I used to play pool. I mean, I still will play pool sometimes, but not like seriously anymore. But some of the high level players would actually live stream their practice, and they did that to have more pressure on themselves. So that's kind of what this is. It's like live stream practice. Just fun. Just throwing some colors around. I'm throwing in some cerulean blue because I like cerulean blue. Just black and red for a brown. No, they're not dumb questions. Another person online. This is live. I'm not sure of the time lag between the stream, but yeah, this is live. Pushing the contrast there. Yeah, we started about 30 minutes ago. So this is live. Oops. Almost put the wrong color. something like that. Mouth somewhere over there. Cheap brushes. For this cast shadow. And that's what it's all about. It's the cast shadows, the form shadows. It's about the values. And that's just black and a little bit of cerulean blue. Now we can start to add that color. To the cornrows. I'm gonna have a dark brush, a light brush, oops, or I'm gonna have a dark brush and a dark brush. I like to have a dark brush and a light brush so I can go back and forth. Excuse me. Thanks, Drew. Hey, Jonas. Oh man, I hope I'm not coming down with something. It's kind of that time of year though. Kind of that time of year. Alright, drawing wise, that needs to move. I'm gonna use some color to move it. Like I said, it's the same process as yesterday. I think we might be going a little faster today, but it's the same process. As I'm adjusting stuff, I am adding things, so it's kind of multitasking. It's not ideal for careful drawing, but it's more fun. I am aware of things to look out for, though, like the perspective and linear drawing and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a marathon. Yep, Bernadette. So I want to get to a point where I can just kind of chill, like just paint. I've been kind of stressing lately over, um, trying to compete with everyone else in the art world. It's very tough, but I just want to get to a point where I can just kind of chill. I said yesterday, one of my favorite things is just to see, just to wake up and paint, and in the end of the day, there's something so, I don't know, it's so therapeutic about cleaning the palette, which I pretty much just cleaned the mixing space of the palette, but something so therapeutic about that. I don't know. It's just something that I've always enjoyed. All kinds of randomness in the background. Just gotta let go. Just have fun. Yeah, oil paint. Oil paint here. Though you can do this with any material you want. You can use watercolor, you can use acrylic. Just the process is a little different with the different materials. But you can essentially create almost the same image with any material you want. Now here's some drawing stuff again that I'm conscientious about, but I'm not stressing over it so much. Portraits, they are the hardest. But it's, not to downplay the difficulty of landscape. Landscape's actually real difficult too. Everything is quite difficult. They're all difficult. It depends on what level we want to achieve in terms of, like depth, like how much depth we want to achieve. That's one thing I used to pride myself on in the past. I used to pride myself on, well, I'm a portrait painter. I do all the difficult stuff. But no, there's actually a lot of difficulty in things like still life and landscape. I've mastered the landscapes. That's good. Yeah, I need to do some plein air. I say that like every year, but it's one of those things I always say. Hey Jonas, I try to just play around with the colors. For like a real serious commission, like if I'm gonna be like super serious, I'll try not to even start with color. If I can avoid it, I won't even start with it. I'll just do a monochrome first. If you know, I'm trying to be super serious about the start. But it turns out sometimes I do better when I start this way. Sometimes, not all the time. Oof. Now be careful not to use straight black. A little bit of cerulean blue. Yeah, him, it does, it does feel like work sometimes. Where you gotta like drag your feet to go render an arm or something like that. Like it does sometimes feel like work, and the best way to think about it is it is work. I mean, art is work. Artwork is work. But there are ways that we can make this work a little bit more entertaining for us, and it's not the same answer for everyone. Like, I just really enjoy the routine. I really like the routine. I enjoy the challenge of trying to constantly do better, but I dread the feeling of like, well, dang, I didn't do that much better. I kind of dread what happens when I think too much about the resolve. So I need to do a balance. I need to balance myself. Like, okay, I'm gonna spend this time to work on my drawing. I'm gonna spend this time to work on my master studies. So like, for example, like right now, I'm spending time just working on the quick sketches. Pose is like, it feels like it's somewhat the painting from life. It almost feels that way. There's pressure on me, especially with the camera on. I've gotten more comfortable with the camera throughout the years, but I still am conscientious that there's a camera there. So it adds a little bit of pressure that's useful. A little bit of pressure is good, but you don't want to dread it. You don't want it to be dreadful. You get caught up on how productive you are based on the result. Yeah, I mean, productivity and like, it's tough being an artist because, we're living in such a fast-paced world, and painting is not that fast. I mean, I can make it faster, like this, like I'm making this faster, but it comes at a price. Like if I'm not careful about my objectives, I will lose track of what I'm doing, and next thing you know, I'm painting uh, a person in a sunset with an umbrella in 4 hours. Yeah, like I could do that. Um, but in a way, I can, but not to the same resolve that I would want to show, like at a gallery or something like that. And I also got to think about even in an abbreviated painting like this, I gotta think about composition too. So it gets me to work a little bit looser, but also trains me to, to see things. Oh, I'm learning. I'm trying to learn every day too. It's definitely, we're in the same boat. We're in the same position, and we should be. We should always be striving to learn. At least that's what I think. We should always be striving for better results, but balance is key. It's tough to find a balance, so a schedule is best to stick with. It's best to stick with a schedule. And try not to dread things like, or think too much about likes. Like, it can be so consuming. It was bothering me for a while that I wasn't getting as much likes on my Instagram as I used to. But I had to start thinking more about the long-term strategy. What's the game plan here? And the game plan for me is to improve my skills and at the same time produce work that I'm proud of, and worrying too much about things like how many likes did I get, or how many views did my video get, or things like that. I didn't even look at the views from yesterday. I didn't even look at it. You notice the title of this video. I didn't even think to title it like tutorial this or tutorial that. If you've been here for a while, then you already know. Yeah, it's a very it's a very stressful thing being an artist, content creator. Yeah, like likes, like, yeah, you said you deleted your account after 8 years because you couldn't ignore the like count. I, you're not alone. I mean, I feel that. Like, I feel that. But, we're in this together. That's one thing I like about this live stream thing is it's a community. yeah, we've really got to understand, and I'm kind of talking to myself here, but got to understand that the the quality of your work is completely independent of what the internet says about it. The quality of your work is completely different, and it's obvious, right? When we think about it, it's such an obvious statement, but it's so stressful. I mean, this is why a lot of content creators just stop. This is why I stopped so many times. Um, and so many times I thought, all right, this time I'm going to figure out the right content. I'm going to title the video the 5 things you need to know to do this or to do that. And it's not really being myself. This is me just being myself. And I can't think about things like, is it gonna do well? I'm trying not to. That's why I said I'm kind of talking to myself, but in case this kind of resonates with anyone, it's important to understand that these feelings are real. They don't just go away. We just have to channel our inner routine. Get into a routine, just paint, get that brush moving. You can use the expensive brushes or you can use these cheaper brushes. Cheap brushes, I call them. Alright, take care, Bernadette. Have a great day. Thanks for joining. Even though I said the likes, I have to not think about the likes. I would appreciate it if you would like the video. It might help with something, right? The algorithm, stuff like that. I do appreciate the support. I'm just telling you that, on a personal level, it's kind of a toxic thing, and that's why they have I guess, what is that feature so that you don't actually have to look at the likes. I should probably do that. I guess you can turn off likes, but nah, I'm not gonna do that. Alright, let's put these brushes. Actually, let's paint a little more of the background first. Then I'll get into more form for the face. Gotta think about the vignette, like how am I gonna, like what am I gonna crop, or what am I gonna show, what am I not gonna show. Alright, so this is pretty much where it should be, I think. Yeah, so kind of my watercolor studies is what's kind of helping me be a little bit more uh, expressive with the background. All right. Let's get into some specifics now. I'm gonna put the bigger brushes away. Now we stick with the little cheap brushes. With an emphasis on light and shadow, I'm going to go back to the eye socket here. Try to draw out the shape a little better. Yeah, actually, true. The background is the hardest part. It is, especially with a composition painting. Just trying to figure out what to put in a background has cost me the most stress. Just kind of sitting and thinking of what on earth to put in the background. In the beginning, I wanted to paint just a floating head without a background, but I guess I just don't do that. I kind of just let the creativity flow as much as I can. But yes, backgrounds are very difficult. Compositions are very difficult. Yeah, just sitting there and trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I started a figure painting and I was gonna paint this imaginary background with this like architectural stuff, like a building behind it and everything, and then I didn't know what to do, so I started drawing a dragon. And with my studio paintings, I draw with white chalk. That's how I make corrections or change anything or add stuff. So there's a dragon in that one, and I've never painted a dragon here, but I just couldn't figure out what to do. In fact, I was sitting there and staring at it today, just like a couple hours ago. I couldn't figure out what to do. Still don't know what to do. Sometimes the best thing to do is to just go with it. Other times, it's important to slow down, really analyze stuff, do compositional studies. Oh, good. Thanks. I'm glad the background fits. I didn't really think. Sometimes, I guess I think too much. This time I didn't really think. It's a balancing act, I think. See what I did there? So I'm kind of working all around. Emphasis for a while was with the eyes. So even the facial hair is gonna have planes. Like I said, these are very improv live streams, so feel free to chat or to ask any questions. Yeah, sometimes I'll put in a hard edge. It depends on the corner. Like, like here, I'll eventually have something sharper. Here, I'll eventually have something sharper. Maybe not as sharp over here or over here. It depends on the emphasis, like where I want emphasis to be on the face. But these days, I'm actually trying to paint a little sharper. As in the past, I was a little too soft with the edges. Hugo's good. He is good. He went with me on a car ride this morning. After my morning painting session, I took him on a trip to go see his buddy Zorro, my mother-in-law's border collie. He's good. Still has his Instagram. I gotta post to his Instagram again soon. He'll be 3 years old in December. Thanks for checking up on him. He's my boy. Ever since we got him as a puppy, I have not spent one night away from him. Not one night. He's my studio Shiba. Yeah, he's all good. That's why I use spike lavender, by the way. I do have odorless mineral spirits, but I only use a little bit. Only when I have to use it. And I only use Gamsol, so the air is pretty safe for Hugo. And it's funny, you get used to the spike lavender smell. Oh yeah, I've painted with acrylics before. Um, yeah, I've done some stuff on the internet too with acrylics. But these days I'm sticking with oil paint and watercolor. But yeah, I mean, you can do the same kind of stuff. I mean, the same level of finish with acrylic that you can with oil paint. Just a slightly different process. But I like starting big paintings with acrylic just so I don't have too much mineral spirits all over the place. I almost exclusively start, like especially when I tone the canvas, with acrylic. I'll even do an underpainting sometimes in acrylic. But ever since I've started using the alkyds mixed in with my regular paints, I haven't really used the acrylics for underpaintings. But acrylic is excellent for starting oil paintings. You can do a whole painting with acrylic too. You don't have to worry about it not peeling, but lifting like a watercolor does if you layer it incorrectly. But yeah, marathon, right? Let's see how many of these we can do. 3 o'clock is kind of my usual time these days. 3 o'clock DC time zone. It's kind of my time. I don't think I'll be doing them on Fridays though. I've got a Zoom student, Randy. I guess I could do it earlier. Oh wait, no. Then I've got 2 Zooms on Friday. I have to stream like in the morning. Well, I'm painting in the morning anyway. Like I said, these are very improv. I do what I want. Cool tour. Yeah, they will be this time frame. Most of them. Like I said, I probably won't do them on Fridays though, because I got my Zoom students. I gotta be careful with these little chops. Make sure there's still straight lines and angles. So yesterday we went to Jersey Mike's, the sub place. Like I said, these are very improv streams. And I got the buffalo chicken sandwich. And for some reason, I decided to look it up. And it has the most sodium out of all of the subs. Because I'm like, is it healthy? Well, at first I was like, I'm just hungry. I'm just going to eat. And, yeah, too much sodium. Some randoms for you. I'm trying to normalize this activity, by the way. Just painting, just relaxing. Not really, not taking it so serious. Still focusing on my... What in the world? How did I get all this paint on my hand? Still focusing on stuff that I've learned, but just try to relax a little more. So, question for everybody on this improv stream. Where in the world are you watching this from? Where are you at? Where is everybody? That's where I'm getting the paint, because I'm resting my arm on my easel. Oops. Where in the world are you? Where are you watching this from? We've got London, we've got Pennsylvania. Where is everybody? Oh, Germany. Whoa, we got Germany pretty far. Well, London's pretty far from here too. Nevada. Oh, you got some rain in the desert. I'm glad you got some rain as well. Yeah, we had rain here in Alexandria 2 days in a row. Makes it kind of difficult to walk our Shiba. But rain is good. Well, we all love our homes and all that, but things have been kinda tough, especially in this DC area. Kinda tough. Alrighty, almost there. 4:56. I typically will finish the stream at 5. So almost there. I worked a little bit faster in the beginning. Then I kind of slowed down, which is expected. It's kind of cruising along. Yeah, I like the 2 hour time frame because it it's just long enough where I can get something with form, but it's not so long that I start slowing down too much. It slows down a little bit, but not too much. Yep, have a good night, Mark. Thanks for joining. See, so at the 2 hour mark, I'm just finishing up the light on the beard. The hair was a lot of fun. No one really said anything about the hair, but it was definitely kind of a challenge figuring out, what steps I would take to even begin it. But I'm happy with it. Overall, I'm a little happier with painting, with my painting than I was before. I'm still trying to improve every day, but I'm okay. And I like this exercise.
Lucy.
What? Well, there's Lucy calling. Shout out to my wife, Lucy. Alrighty, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this stream. I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.